Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmak here and welcome back to another video. Today we're covering off Waycrest Manor in our Mythic Plus series for advanced blood DK tips and tricks that you can do in the dungeons. These guides are obviously once again just aimed at getting you your last minute Keystone Master achievements or pushing that little bit of extra IO as we draw to the end of BFA. This information of course brought to you today by myself, Manor, Vera, Sunday and Floor Fruits. And the idea, as I said, was to sort of start these videos, and we're going to set this up and we're going to hopefully take this into Shadowlands and continue this format going through. Now I'm going to set Waycrest Manor up the same way as I did with the Taldazar, because there are snap points in Waycrest Manor that you can certainly use to your advantage. So I'm going to go over the snap points, I'm going to go over the trash, and then I'm going to go over the boss. Now keep in mind, this isn't actually a full dungeon guide. I do have one of them on my channel. But just keep in mind, this isn't a full dungeon guide. Before I actually get into this, I might actually just talk really quickly about obelisks, which I forgot to mention. With obelisks in Waycrest Manor, you'll always have your one at the top of the stairs, obviously. Now, you'll have 3 different pathways that you can go with your doors. You'll have your top left, your bottom right, and your top right. This is all a matter of preference. Generally the safest thing that you can do on lower range keys is just take that first obelisk, no matter what door you get, straight to witches and do witches, get hero on cooldown and witches, and just work through the dungeon that way. Once you're sort of above sort of that, we'll call it generic level of play, what you can actually do is if you get top left, and this is what I like to do, if you get top left, I head straight to witches and I hero. I then come back to that obelisk and I take that obelisk through the left door because we've killed witches, so we got top left. I take it through the top left and I take it out into the courtyard. The reason being is I want to skip the entirety of the left side of the dungeon because those guards that do the shadow cleaves and things like that, they absolutely wreck you. They wreck every tank, but they especially wreck a blood DK. So generally what you want to do is avoid pulling anything extra on the left side of the dungeon that you actually have to. So top left, go straight to sisters and hero, then take that obelisk to the courtyard. If I get bottom right, what I generally like to do is if it's a fortified week, I get a hero on the hunting lodge. I kill the mobs in there. The hunting lodge is still dangerous mobs, however it's safer than the left side of the dungeon. I get a hero on the hunting lodge, get hero on CD, and then I take that obelisk. You can either kill it there or you can kill it in the courtyard and then keep pulling around from there. If you didn't want to hero the hunting lodge, you can of course take that obelisk through the bottom right door and take it all the way into the courtyard and then get a hero out in the courtyard. If it's a Tyrone week, bottom right, I'd take that obelisk into the courtyard, clear the courtyard, and get a hero on Soulbound Goliath straight away. If it's top right, I'd be taking that obelisk straight to the courtyard and then playing from the courtyard regardless if it was fortified or tyrannical and just clearing from there. So that's a bit on obelisks. Again, you know, you do you, but that's how I play it, and I find that's a really good way to work obelisks because you get into higher keys. One little thing that I did want to include, sorry guys, in this edit that absolutely nobody will notice, is I wanted to show you a little trick when it's the blob on the stairs. So we've just killed Heartsbane Triad because we got top left, and as I said, when I get top left, I just go straight there, hero on the sisters, and then I come back to take the blob. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the obelisk, and then we're going to jump off the stairs. Now, it doesn't matter which side you jump off to, as long as you all jump off to the same side. So we're jumping off the stairs and we're running into this little corner. Now, what will happen is all the tentacles will clump up in a nice little neat pattern in this corner, and then we can move out. Now, if you've got a fire mage that is going to combust them or something like that, you can absolutely melt the tentacles this way. You will need to be careful as the blob will come down the stairs straight away and it'll drop a whole heap of purple goo, so you just need to make sure if you've got melee hanging in there that they get out quickly. But because we got top left and we've killed sisters, the bottom left doors then open so we can jump off, kill all the tentacles, and then they just take the blob through the left door and go out into the courtyard like I spoke about before. So again, not blood DK specific in any way, but it's a nice little tip that you can use on the blob to clump your tentacles up, kill them quickly, and not then have to navigate over all the purple goo on the stairs. Moving into the snap points now, guys. Now, snap points aren't as common in Waycrest Manor as they are in Taldazar. However, there are still some really useful ones, and I just went in on Mythic 0 with Dougs here, just so I could actually show you how some of these work. So when you get into the hallways, you'll notice that there are these higher cupboards. Now, it's not the lower tables, it's like these higher cabinets. If you get up on a high cabinet, you can actually snap mobs via tricks or MD, or even pulling them yourself and jumping up onto these. You can snap all the mobs up onto you there. Now again, it'll cancel some of the leaps that these mobs do. Ideally, your healer can also jump up on there as well with you, and then you can jump down and the healer can stay up there, and it'll avoid the gorges leaping and things like that. But you can do these kind of pulls. Now another one that you can do in the hallway is if you have a rogue or a hunter or somebody, a night elf can do it, go and pull Ral and then shadow meld. When Ral despawns, you can jump up on one of these cabinets, get tricked, and you can pull whatever amount you want from Ral's room outside into a hallway on one of these cabinets. And again, it's just a really nice way to bunch everything up and be able to hammer it down quite quickly. However, you probably generally won't see this used as often in Waycrest Manor, but it's an option. Moving through Ral's room, once you've actually downed Ral, there's all the maggots in the kitchen, and there's generally sometimes a witch that'll spawn in there. Up on this table here, you can see here, if you jump up on the table, you can have a rogue or a hunter MD you. They can go and pull, and everything from the kitchen will snap to you on top of the table. Again, it's a handy little snap. With maggots, generally when you pull a large amount of maggots, you have to be quite careful, as their spits can absolutely own you. Not so much catered to blood DKs. Prot warriors generally would like to do this on their own and spell reflect it. Blood DK, you have to be a little bit more careful, and I wouldn't generally advise pulling many maggots in one pull. Moving out of this section into the courtyard, you can see the fountain. Now again, generally you'll actually see healers jump up on the fountain when you're pulling this, and again it's to avoid the leaping mobs like the gorges and things like that. What you can do here though is the mobs out in the courtyard can't see stealth. You can actually shroud out here, jump up on the fountain, and you can snap mobs up onto the fountain. Again, you'll find uses for this if it's something useful for you, but again it's just something that I wanted to point out, and you can see us doing it on the video here. So moving off snap points now and moving on to trash. So notable mobs you're going to see throughout Waycrest Manor are the Coven Thorn Shapers. So these are the ones in the courtyard. They'll cast a thing called Effigy Reconstruction. Now this is a heal from the witches in the courtyard, the Coven Thorn Shapers. It'll only heal the Thorn Guards and the dogs. So it won't recast once it stops, so generally you want to use a single grip or asphyxiate on them. What you really want to be focusing though is the Infected Thorns cast. That's the priority kick here. You can outrange if you are playing anything on the left side. The Shadow Guards cleave, but as I said at the start with the obelisks, you just want to avoid pulling the left side of the dungeon. It's a bad idea. Other notable trash mobs in here, Matron Alma, she'll cast Decaying Touch. She's in the bottom section. Sometimes she's not a bad option to play for percent. As a DK, you can AMS the Decaying Touch and avoid getting a stack of it that way. You will take the next two though before you'll have AMS available to take another one, but it's an option. There's not actually many other notable mobs or trash mobs that you can sort of cheese as a DK in here. Moving into the bosses, guys, Lord and Lady Waycrest, you want to be using your AMS to make sure that you're absorbing one of the casts from Lord every minute. So every time he goes to Wasting Strike, you'll want to be using AMS and then waiting for the next recharge and then using it on the next Wasting Strike. On Ral, you can use Mass Grip when he summons the 4 servants. So when they're walking towards you, you can have a friendly player like your healer or someone stand in the middle of the servants, and you can actually select your healer and then mass grip all those servants to your healer. Then you can get a stun on them, and then you can just begin to drop them. Otherwise, you can grip them away, you can asphyxiate them, you can use your D&D to slow them. We have a lot of options here. Moving on to Gorak Tool, and there's actually something I should have just mentioned in the trash section, beforehand. After Lord and Lady, when you pull the little undead people in the little trench that we used to call dogs. There's actually a snap point that you can see up the back of the room here. The healer will go and stand there. You can actually D&D pull them straight away after Lord and Lady Waycrest die. What that'll do is it'll allow you to grab every single one of them in that trench, rather than if they get spaced out, you usually miss 2 of them. So if you drop D&D straight away, they'll start to pull. If you run up to the back of the room here, you can see the healer here has jumped up on a ledge. What this does is it stops them from leaping off once they are on you. Now, when they are coming towards you, they deal a hell of a lot of upfront damage. They do a shadow cleave, so you can use AMS to negate some of this damage. They will leap to you, but once they're on you, if a healer is up on that location, they will no longer leap. As soon as they get down though, they'll start leaping around. So it's important that you have one range player up on that little ledge, and it'll just allow the leapers after Lord and Lady to not leap around. Now moving on to Gorak Tool, guys, again, DKs actually have fairly good use here. With the adds that Gorak Tool spawns, we have a fairly good toolkit for dealing with them. We can single grip them off the cast, we can asphyxiate them, and we can mass grip them. It's worth noting that once we grip them through the channel, it won't trigger an automatic recast, so you actually negate that cast until the next timer comes up. Now, one thing that is worth noting, if the adds are currently casting and the boss's heal is going off, the adds won't be healed. However, sometimes if the boss's heal is going off and you stun them out of that, they can be healed. It's not something that's generally worth playing around. Generally, the easiest combo for this is if you see an ad casting, just use your grip, use your asphyxiate, use your mass grip to avoid the stun. But it's just something to be worth being aware out of. But honestly, I don't know if there was much of a point to me telling you that, as it'll probably just confuse you. Confuses me. So that is pretty much it, guys. Hopefully I've covered off everything. As I said, there wasn't a hell of a lot going on in Waycrest Manor, but I did want to show you the snap points and sort of talk about the obelisk pathways and things like that. If I've missed anything, leave it in the comments below, but otherwise, thank you so much for checking out the guide, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, come find me in Twitch, come say hi in the Discord, and I'll see you all next time. See you, fam.